There are 5 major types of flight plans. You have the VFR Flight Plan, IFR Flight Plan, Composite Flight Plan, Defense VFR Flight Plan, and International Flight Plans. In this video, I'll be covering the VFR Flight Plan. VFR flight plans are those that are filed for flight operations conducted under visual flight rules. Unless your route of flight will take you through an air defense identification zone or distance early warning identification zone, a VFR flight plan is not required, although it is strongly recommended.
You are ordered to turn west immediately. If you do not follow these instructions, you may be fired upon.
Although the FAA doesn't have any specific requirements to file a VFR flight plan out of Class Charlie or Bravo airports, many of these airports will require you to file a VFR flight plan before you even get taxi instructions. At these airports, once you have your VFR flight plan filed, all you have to do is call clearance delivery and get a squawk and departure instructions just like you're on an IFR flight plan. The advantage of doing this is that you don't need to activate your flight plan in air when departing from these airfields. Once you take off, the tower will activate the flight plan for you. So unless we contacted clearance delivery and got a squawk and departure instructions, our flight plan is not going to be activated once we lift off. In this case, it's going to take just a little bit of mission planning before you get to the aircraft to determine who you're going to activate your flight plan with. In order to depart the airfield itself, you just tell ground that you'd like to taxi to the active runway, and then contact tower, tell them that you're holding short of the runway, ready to depart VFR in the cardinal direction that you'll be heading. Here's where the mission planning comes into play. We need to figure out which flight service station we need to contact on departure in order to activate our VFR flight plan. Doing this is relatively simple. On your VFR sectional, find a VOR station with a name below it and a frequency above it. That frequency is going to be the frequency that you'll use to contact the flight service station. The name below the flight service station is going to be the name that you would address the flight service station as. Okay, so let's see what it would sound like if you have a VFR flight plan from Stillwater to Fort Smith. The original takeoff time was at 0915 local, but you took off at 0933. Looking at the VFR sectional, it looks like we're going to be contacting McAllister Radio on 122.3. So let's see what that's going to sound like. McAllister Radio, Hook 66, climbing out of Stillwater.
Hook 66, go for McAllister Radio.
Yes ma'am, Hook 66, we'd like to activate our VFR flight plan from Stillwater to Fort Smith. Takeoff time was 0933 local.
Hook 66, roger. I'm activating your flight plan now. Takeoff time at 0933 local, Stillwater to Fort Smith.
If you have any kind of excessive delays on the ground, your flight plan is going to get canceled if you haven't activated it within 1 hour of the proposed departure time. There are, however, 2 ways to work around this. The first way is to revise your departure time while you're on the ground. So if you have ForeFlight and a cell connection, just go ahead and revise your actual takeoff time to what you expect it to be, and then boom, you're good to go. Otherwise, if at the time of filing, the flight service station is informed that your proposed departure time will be met, but actual departure time cannot be given because of inadequate communications, like you're taking off from a mountainous area, then they're going to go ahead and keep that for you until you actually activate the flight plan. If you want to make a change to your flight plan, you need to do that through your original flight plan service provider. If you're within 45 minutes of the proposed takeoff time, it must be coordinated through an ATC facility or flight service station. When flying under a VFR flight plan, position reports are not required, but periodic reports to flight service stations along the route should be made. These position reports serve 3 critical purposes. The first purpose is that it allows controlling agencies to more accurately monitor the progress of your flight relative to the planned departure and arrival time. Especially in more scenic parts of the country, we may not want to fly directly to our destination. We might want to do a couple circles overhead, check out the scenery, and then update our position to allow them to know that we are ahead or behind schedule. The next thing this does is that it allows ATC to update the pilots on dynamic conditions along the route of flight and at the destination. This can include weather, TFRs, or NOTAMs that might have popped up short notice. The final and most important reason why we should be updating our position on a VFR flight plan is that in the event that we go down, it could prove a vital tool in helping to narrow down the search and rescue area for people that are trying to find you. Alright, so let's take a look at what this position reporting would sound like. So for this hypothetical situation, you'll be Hook 66, you're on a VFR flight plan from Amarillo to San Antonio, and you're overhead the Abilene Vortac. Looking at your VFR sectional, you see that 122.65 is the VHF frequency over the Abilene Vortac, and Fort Worth is below it. This denotes that you'll be talking to Fort Worth radio on 122.65. So here's what that would sound like in practice. Fort Worth radio, Hook 66.
Hook 66, go for Fort Worth radio.
Yes ma'am, I'd just like to update my position. Hook 66 over Abilene at 1033 local, VFR flight plan Amarillo to San Antonio.
We have you loud and clear, sir. Hook 66 over Abilene at 1033 local, VFR flight plan Amarillo to San Antonio.
Alright, so we talked about what the VFR flight plan is, how to file it, how to activate it, what to do when en route. Now let's talk about canceling a VFR flight plan. So the unique thing about VFR flight plans that can get you into some trouble is that if you have not canceled your flight plan within 30 minutes of your ETA, search and rescue procedures will begin. I've heard a couple stories of people who 20-30 minutes after they're landed get their phone blown up. That's because they forgot to cancel their VFR flight plan. So there's two ways we can go about canceling our VFR flight plan. The first and the easiest way is to cancel with the nearest flight service station. So once you switch over to your final flight service station, before you go talk to tower, just go ahead and tell the flight service station you'd like to cancel out your VFR flight plan, and they'll do that for you. Otherwise, any air traffic control agency can relay your cancellation to a flight service station, but it's just pretty bad technique to do that just because they have plenty of other things going on, and if we can lessen their workload, that'd be better. Regardless of what happens, remember that you have to cancel your VFR flight plan. It will not be automatically canceled for you, and if you don't, you will begin the search and rescue procedures. The last thing I'd like to mention is that if you're going to do a stopover, which is land at an airfield for more than 1 hour, you're going to need to file two separate flight plans. One flight plan from destination A to B, and then a second flight plan from destination B to C. Otherwise, there you have it. That's everything you need to know about VFR flight plans. This is just one video in a larger series of flight plan type material that I'm going to be coming out with. We'll be talking about IFR flight plans, defense VFR flight plans, composite flight plans, and how to actually file your flight plan in some other videos that will be coming out. Please drop a like if you enjoyed this video, and subscribe if you feel like the content that I'm producing can help you out in the future. Please share this with anybody that you think would need it, and otherwise continue to run up those numbers. Until next time, I will see you around. Have a good one. Peace out.